Greetings, fellow songwriters and seekers, and welcome back to Muse Measure. If you haven't done so yet, please hit the guy on the lotus pedal down below and benefit from all these great questions and concerns that people are bringing up to expand your songwriting skills and to also just expand your thought process and your spiritual connection to songwriting. Speaking of, there's a wonderful question today from Emily Clark in Brighton, UK. How do you stay motivated to keep writing songs when the world doesn't seem to reward the kind of music you want to make? Ooh, that cuts right to the heart, Emily. Thank you for that question. So that is the majority of us in the world. We create art, and sometimes we have a big audience. Sometimes we have a medium-sized audience. But a lot of times the audience is very, very slim or to none. And so what keeps us going? Well, I had to make a choice at some point in my life to stop caring about that, or else I would just stop making music. And so I really looked at my own motivation for why I was making music. Was it for the praise that I would get from other people? I don't really thought about it because, when I played live, people would come up to me and say nice things and stuff like that. And what emotional impact did it have on me? Well, it feels good, obviously, to get compliments. And it feels good to have songs that get a lot of plays. I've had that experience a couple times. But ultimately, it's just short-lived. The real joy from making songs, and I think making any type of art, is your own development and getting better and seeing real progress in your art and your skill. And, it helps that some of my favorite artists of all, that have influenced me were people that didn't have a lot of fame and accolade in their life and were appreciated posthumously. Now, it would be great to have some appreciation in this life and to make a good living from your art and have people to understand what you're doing and to really appreciate it and write about it. And so you get this feedback from people. But unfortunately, it also comes with the fame aspect of people being haters and just tearing you down and making you self-conscious about things that you normally wouldn't even be aware of, and really guiding your artistic process with this kind of mob mentality as opposed to what you want and what you can get out of it. Now, this is not, a simple dichotomy between, fame and being anonymous or obscurity. And both sides have their positive sides and negative sides. But I think you just have to embrace whatever you get, and you don't know when your big break's going to come or if it's ever going to come. I just turned 50, so is my big break going to ever come? Probably not. But I've had to become contented with that. So I even have a couple songs where I deal with this issue of just coming to the acceptance that, this might be it, and how wonderful it is. You have these skills and abilities. You can write songs. You're getting better. You're getting more in touch with your own psychology and understanding yourself better. If you've changed your focus to that, I think that's where you should be. And that's the best way to approach it. Even if you are the most famous musician in the world, you don't want to listen to the masses and what they have to say about your music. Of course, it feels good to have a stadium singing along with your songs and loving every second of it. But who knows what's going to happen in 100 years? You might be totally forgotten. Or even worse, panned. People look at the music of that era and look at your music in particular and go, well, this is an example of how vapid and stupid that civilization was at the time. And this is a great example of one of the worst songwriters ever. What do you want out of this, do you want this notoriety? Do you want some kind of immortality from your art? That would all be great, but ultimately it doesn't serve you in your life. And, what's it going to matter to you when you're dead? So speaking of these lyrics that I have, so one is from So Much More, which is on Existential Hymns. Can't leave a trace where it's worked and worn, where it's plain, it'd be all the same if I was never born. So that's just like, this feeling of like you're just a drop in the ocean. Think about how many artists are on Spotify or how much music is accessible to people, and what you're making is just a drop in the ocean. But it's not just a drop in the ocean to you. and hopefully you have a few people who appreciate your music and it's very meaningful to them. Even if, after you're gone, you've left this legacy of your songs. So for your children or your friends, when they want to remember you, they can listen to your music. That's a wonderful thing too. Another song that I have that's along these lines is Oh Yeah, letting go of forging an immortal name for children to recite in pain. So what is this drive toward immortality? It's a very Roman proclivity that we have in our culture that's still around. I guess we still are part of the Roman Empire, even though it supposedly fell. I mean, we're still using the Roman calendar. And this striving towards fame as some kind of sense of immortality. But it's not really, because you don't get to experience or enjoy it. So what keeps me going and keeps me motivated is falling in love with all the new songs that I create one by one. And then I might fall out of love with them, that's fine too. But just getting the joy of seeing this process unfold and not repeating myself. I don't want to ever repeat myself, even though I might do that. The goal is really to get better all the time and to produce a body of work that's, that is constantly evolving and becoming something else, is in a state of becoming. And it also, having this artistic perspective on life really changes your outlook on life too. You will start to live aesthetically. You start to notice all the little details of life because your ears are tuned and all your senses are tuned to be sensitive to them because you're looking out for material for your songs. And it's not like you're, just have this thinking of them as some kind of utility or that's just serving your purpose. It actually wakens up your senses so that you can really enjoy life on a deeper level and really feel it on a deeper level. So that's why I advocate just keep going and keep doing it. It's not about making money and becoming famous. Maybe it is for some people, but that's not really being a songwriter, I think. That's just using songwriting or using being a musician to get you to something else. For me, it's about the songwriting. The joy of songwriting and the goal of songwriting is songwriting. And I think that's what's kept me going. And I hope you will find something like that for yourself as well. You just think about how many things are pulling on people's attention. Just, look at their smartphones. They're constantly scrolling. People don't have the attention span to sit and listen to a 3-minute and 30-second song anymore, unless it's something they already know. Or they get something out of it. They get to feel cool by doing it. Well, I don't think anybody's going to get to feel cool by listening to my music, at least not yet. If they want to take the time to actually listen to it and look at the lyrics and listen to the music, then that's great. But I'm not making music for people that's easily digestible so that they get an earworm in their head and it gets stuck in their head and they want to, they play it over and over again, or to make them feel cool about, that their taste or whatever, that they're going to impress somebody because they're into my music. And nobody is, so I could care less about that. That's not what I'm making music. I'm making music to connect with people and to share my own personal experiences, my own suffering, and so that it can help other people. But I'm also helping myself in the process. So I'm not just doing it, it's not just a one-sided thing for me. So you got to keep going and keep making music. Who cares about fame and money, Find some other job that's not going to suck up all your time, that you'll also find fulfilling. And you don't have to put so much of an onus on this fame and marketing, because I've done this. I've fallen down that rabbit hole and that trap where I end up spending much more time trying to market and promote myself. And I'm sure you've experienced, there's hundreds of companies that are there to take your money and basically rip you off with promises of getting, lots of plays or getting you written up in certain blogs, getting you some kind of publicity. Well, if you've gone down that and you've spent the money on that, then it's just kind of throwing money down a hole. And it doesn't ultimately give you any more fulfillment, and it doesn't give you any more confidence. It actually makes you feel worse because you're not hitting some level of success. And, payola is still a thing. The big record companies, like Taylor Swift's company, they can pay for Spotify to focus and for the algorithm to promote their music. Same thing with YouTube. So unless you've got $1 million backer, then the hope is very minimal. Rick Beato did a piece on this recently where he's talking about how all the top performers are, the sons and daughters of millionaires. And there's a reason for that, because you have to, first of all, you have to have somebody who's going to believe in you enough to say you don't have to work, you can just do this full time and we'll support you, but also somebody who's going to put in the money to back your career and all the promotion that it takes, and the whole team of people that you need to make you have a career. And of course, there's no guarantee there. People might still hate your music and it might not resonate with them. So I say don't waste time on that. You can do some promotion. I don't mean that you should just never release anything, but release it and, send out an email and maybe submit, do Submit Hub, submit your song to a few blogs or whatever. But don't spend hours and hours and hours and years of your life trying to promote your music into this void. You will find your audience and they will find you, hopefully. And that might just be 3 people. But embrace those 3 people and really deliver them quality material. And that means quality for yourself too, being really honest and getting better at your songwriting as you go along. All right, well, thank you so much, Emily. I hope that's helpful. And I wish you best of luck with your songwriting, your spiritual practice, and avoiding these pitfalls of worrying about how big your audience is. All right, take care.